What's the tea, y'all? We are here talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I think this is episode 8, but we can just say the finale. I got a really good time watching this show. I really did, but I guess I'll give the overall analysis at the end. But so we start, and I apologize if you hear a lot of background noise. It is so hot and humid in New York. I feel like I'm giving sweat right now. And my window is open because it gives me fresh air. I have allergies and sinuses, so I need the fresh air. But then I also turn my air on because I'm just, whew. But okay, so we start the episode off with basically, I mean, at the top of the episode, we're back with Silas giving what Silas is giving. Honestly, even for this to have been a finale, I do have to say I wasn't super tuned in until the end. I honestly forgot. Because we got the preview for the episode and we knew that there was going to be this thing that happened between Bria and Simon, and then somehow Summer gets into a conflict with Bria. I even forgot that was happening. So even when I'm watching the episode, I understand that it was the finale, and I get that we're getting this build up to them having a party or whatever. And I guess that's where we're tying in this conversation that Alex had with his brother about singing. Now the pieces are coming together fine, but it didn't feel like, I don't know. It just felt like a regular episode, I guess, which isn't an issue. But I guess I just didn't know where my focus was supposed to be. I guess I want to understand what our finale's supposed to accomplish. But it just felt like a regular episode. It did, I guess, go out with some sort of a bang and some type of conclusion. But towards the beginning when I was watching, I couldn't necessarily tell you what I was looking for. But we're gonna chat about it. I guess what's noteworthy here is that Silas gets worse, but I said that last episode. Each time we hear from him, it's worse and worse and worse. He says worse things. It's just I can't. And I just I'm not with the toxic masculinity of it all. I'm not with the gender roles of it all. I'm glad that Jasmine said something about it's giving gender roles, and but I do want to understand where she stands on it, right? Because it seems like she agrees with it and she's fine with it, and they've decided to do it outside of this summer house, right? She's basically saying that that's our understanding and we've touched base and we know what works for us, she said. But then we get to the house and it seems like she has such a big issue with it. And the only difference that she's explaining is that they're on vacation. And it's hard for me to think that she's going to have these strong of reactions against Silas because she just doesn't want to have this routine while they're on vacation, right? I think that there's a bigger issue there. Are you not, are you okay with it or are you not? That's what I'm missing, So, but Silas is giving us more context, which I guess can appreciate. It's digging him a bigger hole. But he's explaining more, when he was in the kitchen, and he's just I'm a routine person. I plan everything. I like routine, and when things are not routine for me, it's just it doesn't work. And Jasmine's not that type of person. And I feel him somewhat. I struggle to say this, but let me give my boys some points. I do feel him because I'm a routine person too, and I like to plan things out, and I like to know what the heck is going on around me. But that doesn't mean that I am toxically masculine and that I believe in gender roles. Those are separate entities. But okay, even when and I didn't like the comment that he made. It was just so hard for me to even watch. Even when he was talking to Jasmine and she was talking about, I guess Silas had made a remark about, was it Amir? I think Amir brought him his food as opposed to Jasmine, or I don't know what they were talking about in terms of Amir bringing Silas food. Maybe that was a hypothetical. I just don't remember. But then he made a comment and said, well, men don't bring other men food. One part we did get to, which I really enjoyed. I'm also not feeling Jordan after last episode, so it's hard for me. Maybe that's what it is. I'm irritated with the girls. And I knew, look, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this season, I enjoyed the show, but I was very happy that it was the finale. Okay, baby, please get these people up off my TV because they are causing me stress. But I did enjoy seeing Jasmine and Jordan chop it up as friends. And as Jordan noted, like Jasmine was being authentically herself and speaking and being honest. And, I thought it was funny for her to be like, I feel him and I'm happy that Silas is, it's important for him to be able to express himself and for them to have conversation. But she was like, why does he have so many feelings? And at that point, I felt her because I be feeling the same way. Like, I get what she means in terms of like when there's conflict. When I approach conflict, my whole thing is things happen, right? And there's this whole notion of picking and choosing your battles, right? And so when things happen, if you're going to pick that battle, meaning you're going to address it and you're going to talk to somebody about it, I feel like if you're going to do that, then you need to do it with the intention of coming up with a resolution. If your intention is not to resolve that issue or at least come to some understanding and put a period on it, then I just don't know why bring it up, right? There are some times where you can acknowledge, and I myself can acknowledge, there are things that I bring up because I want to beef, and I want people to know that I'm feeling some type of way. I don't necessarily want to come to a conclusion, so fine. But I think what Silas tries to put out is like, because he's like, I just want acknowledgement, right? So I think he tries to put out that he's communicating these things with Jasmine because he wants acknowledgement. But there's the issue right there. Like, as I just said that's the issue right there. Like, he doesn't want resolve and he doesn't want them to come to common ground and work through it. He just wants to be acknowledged. So it's still about Silas. You know what I'm saying? You just have to listen to what he's saying. And that's the issue. Like, Silas needs to pick and choose his battles, but it feels like everything is Silas's battle and he wants to address everything. And he's not addressing it so that he and his wife can get to a better place and work through it. He's addressing it so that Jasmine can make him more comfortable and do what works for him. And that's just problematic for me. And so I like that Jasmine was able to like have this conversation with Jordan and just be like, why does this man have so many feelings? Like, what is his tea? So she also mentioned too, which I don't want to offend nobody. I don't know how strongly y'all feel, but Jordan mentioned, she was like, well, that's a Pisces for you. And I was just like, I could have turned my apartment upside down. I'm like, Silas is a Pisces. Like, this, honestly, that's all I needed to know. Honestly, like, I didn't need anything else. I guess I'll just leave it there. I won't even go too much into it, but he's a Pisces. So, okay. I'm going to skip right on over to the function that they had. It feels like the girls are tired. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired. It feels like the girls are tired. The girls are drained. Jasmine even said it, like, baby, I'm drained. I'm ready to get up out of here. Somebody also said, it might have been Jasmine. Somebody also was like, I'm so ready to go home. And I was ready for them to go home too. Because the function just wasn't functioning. Like, I just feel like I didn't understand what the tea was. There was tons of live performances, which is great. That's fun. But it just didn't seem like it was lit, But, I guess what's noteworthy there is that, Nick's girlfriend came. She was super pretty. And that was fun that she came as a surprise. I wish we got more context behind that. Like, who set that up? And was it actually surprising to him? I don't know. It just kind of felt like it was thrown in there. But whatever. And, I do want to note that Alex sounded good. Because I did kiki on Alex, like, episode 1 or 2. When he was singing in the hot tub. And it was a little shaky. I did say, though, I was like, maybe he was nervous. You know what I'm saying? But here, he sounded really good. So I'm going to give him that. He sounded good. But I was kind of feeling like Jordan because when he was singing and Summer started crying, she looked at Jordan like, are you crying too? And she said, no, absolutely not.
Are you crying too? No. Oh, hell.
So she didn't look like she was feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. And when I say it, not Nick singing, but I wasn't feeling the function. Like, I just didn't understand what was the tea. But whatever. We then get to a part where, like, I think Simon was bored too. Like, Simon just randomly, it's still also no context. Simon was just like, yo, and like jumps in the pool with his clothes on. I'm like, okay. I literally wrote in my notes, Simon must have been bored. And I feel him. Like, he was trying to liven it up. Like, y'all are boring. Y'all ain't feeling each other. I'm trying to get lit. So, you know what I'm saying? Boom. Let's get lit. So he jumps in there. I think this is the turning point. This is when the episode started to get, I don't want to even use the word good. This is when the episode started to get interesting because it feels like, oh, now everybody's liquor is kicking in. Okay? And so, Bria now, she's like, I'm gonna go check on Simon, but I never saw that happen. She ends up on the couch having a woman to woman with Nick's girlfriend. And I ain't mad at Bria for it. I sat down and I watched it with a very open mind. And I will say, it's as it was shown, it was a little cringy for Bria. Like some of the things that she was saying was hitting hard for me. Like it was like, ooh, ooh, don't. Why are you saying that? Like her just blatantly coming out and saying like, well, we didn't know he had a girlfriend until the second week. And he had been in some of my friends' DMs, so we didn't know what it was giving. It was borderlining for me. I'm on the fence. I'm Sonya Richards Ross. I'm sorry. Like it was borderlining for me. You know, and one token, it felt like it could have potentially been a regular conversation for the sake of TV, right? Like she don't know that lady, I will say. So it ain't like she finna regularly go sit and have a conversation with Nick's girlfriend about Nick being Nick. But for the sake of TV, it felt like she was having a television conversation, circling back to a storyline that needed to be circled back to. Somebody had to do it. You know what I'm saying? The girls were mumbling and cackling outside when the girlfriend pulled up. So somebody had to spill the beans. Nick wasn't gonna spill the beans. So it felt like it could have potentially been a fine TV moment. Not necessarily Bria trying to be a big mess, but a TV mess, if that makes sense. If I'm allowed to make that distinguishment, and I think the girlfriend took it well, right? Like she was like, well, he's been very transparent with me about what he knows. Now, if Bria was being messy, she would have said, okay, well, what has he told you? And if he's being transparent, what has he told you? Like, let me know how transparent. That would have been messy. But, it seemed like she handled it well and Bria backed up off of it and was like, oh, okay, girl, I was just trying to see. So, was it messy? Yeah. But I think that Bria was doing her job. Okay, and I don't think that it got as messy as it could have gotten. Now, Bria did lose me a little bit later on, for sure. But this one I wasn't completely mad at her for. I'm sorry, I just wasn't. Somebody had to do it. And there was a point also where Jasmine was like, it's just Jasmine's having this heart to heart with Silas in the middle of the party, and that's how you know the party ain't lit. Because they're over off to the corner trying to figure out their marriage tea. And everybody came over like, which was also a little bit cringy. I'm gonna give you that. It was a little bit cringy for everybody to run over and be like, "What y'all doing?" Da, da, da. But it's also like we're at a function, and I'm sure they knew they were filming the finale. They were leaving the next day, so it's like we're at a function. We're at the finale. We're trying to turn up. We're trying to have a good time, and y'all over here talking about stuff that's honestly, quiet as it's kept, not gonna get resolved because Jasmine meets Silas, Silas meets Jasmine. It's just a lot going on here. So, like, you guys can table that and handle that when you get home. But I understood Jasmine's frustration. I think that she was frustrated with Silas at the end of the day, period. But then it's also frustrating because it did feel like it was an authentic conversation that they were having. And it was not even necessarily it was a conflict. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they weren't beefing, but it was just like, we're not seeing eye to eye and we're going to have to figure it out when we get home. So it was already kind of like a frustrating situation and everybody butts in. But I'm glad they butt in because it's like, girl, we ain't trying to talk about that. Like, come over here and let's take shots. But, something that Jasmine did say, she was like, it's too early for us to be this exhausted, right? And I'm not married, but I can only imagine within 2 years of being married, I don't want to be exhausted with my partner either. And I don't want my partner like berating me and talking about how I can't iron and why don't I steam his clothes and he doesn't like the way I make his food and just all this crazy stuff. Like I just I don't know how she's doing it, but whatever. So then we get to this was just kind of as I'm going through this, I'm like, why was this episode all over the place? But okay, I guess they had to close out some storylines, so I'm gonna give them that. We get this conversation with Amir and Jordan. It is no secret that I have not given a damn about this from episode 1, but whatever. We finally get this closure to this where Amir has accepted that he's in the friend zone with Jordan. Fine, boom, we're moving on. Now we get to the point where Bria's tripping. Bria was big old tripping. Okay, big dog tripping. Like she, and also I would like to say that she was drunk. And we did. I mean, we heard her talking to Simon, and we heard her say to Simon, like, "Why would you leave me in here with Milo?" That's what she said. So when Simon's genuinely upset and saying like, I do everything for you and you're being disrespectful to me, I feel him. And he was very articulate with the fact like, girl, you didn't ask me to watch Milo. If you had asked me to watch Milo, then I would watch Milo because not me saying Marlo. I would watch Milo because I do everything for you, homegirl. But you are telling me to watch Milo. You're being disrespectful. So no, like I'm not going to be disrespected. I'm trying to jump in pools with my clothes on and with my watch on. I'm trying to have a good time. Y'all are boring. I'm not doing this. So I felt Simon, and Bria was tripping. Then she was even more tripping when Summer came because Summer was trying to make it better. Now, I'm agree a little with the perspective because Summer agreed as well, and we got a little bit of this at the beginning, right? When Summer was talking with, I think it was, I want to say it was Preston, but I can't remember, and she was just saying like, she does tend to be a little bit nosy. It wasn't Preston. I think it was Alex. I don't know, girl. She was talking with somebody, and she's just like, I can be a little bit nosy, and stuff like that. So I guess that was the foreshadowing to this. So I am gonna agree with the point where it's like, she did insert herself in that situation, fine, but I don't think that it warranted the reaction that Bria was giving her and the energy that Bria was giving her. When she went to Jordan and she's just like keying on Summer and it's like Summer's out there with Simon and she's all in Simon's face and taking Simon's side. I didn't agree with that. I'm like, girl, you're tripping. She is trying to help. Did she insert herself where she didn't need to be inserted? Yeah. Do you have a right to feel some type of way about her inserting herself? Yeah. But all this energy you're giving her, it's too much. Too much, Taquita. It's too much. And so, like, even when Summer comes up, now, as Summer's, like, coming up the stairs, like, because now Bria's in the room yelling with Simon, they're really getting into it. As Summer's coming up those stairs, baby, I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. I feel like I was watching a scary movie, like, don't go in there. Like, don't do it. Like, this doesn't have anything to do with you, baby girl. Like, at this point, I was like, girl, please don't. But then again, back to Bria. Like, she immediately is, like, yelling, like, get out of my room, blah, blah, blah. I will say, like, she told the girl when she knocked, like, don't come in here. Like, don't. But then it became a yelling match, right? And Summer came in the room. It was like, baby, she told you don't come up in that room. I told you don't go up in that room. And now you up in that room. And so now they're getting into it. And ultimately, Summer ends up putting her hands on Bria, which is never okay. She did say in her confessional that Bria was close enough to her that she could smell her dinner. I didn't see that. Maybe I missed something. But still, it's not okay to put your hands on people. And it didn't feel like, outside of that comment, it didn't feel like Summer was justifying it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give her, I'm not even going to say a pass, but I'm going to give her some grace. But, she puts her hands on Bria. It's just like, it didn't need to be like this. Like, they both were doing team too much. More so on the side of Bria. I'm going to say Bria was big tripping. But, you know what I'm saying? Back to what Bria was saying, like, people just feel like it's okay to put their hands on me. And I felt her because it's just like, I think with characters like Bria, they're polarizing characters, right? Like, some people like them, some people don't. I like Bria, but I do acknowledge that Bria has some faults. Bria even acknowledged this episode, like, she can be aggressive when she approaches things, right? And so I acknowledge that Bria has faults, but I like her, and I think I understand where she's coming from. And so even though she has a lot of mouth and she's a polarizing character and some people like her and some people don't, it still doesn't excuse anybody to be putting their hands on her at the end of the day. You don't have to like her. You don't have to like the way that she speaks to you. We can acknowledge that it's not okay the way that she speaks to people. We can acknowledge that it's not okay the way that she handles things and does things. But that doesn't mean that you put your hands on people. And I'm never going to agree with that. So, whatever. I still like the fact that they were able to, and I love, honestly, this may have been my favorite part of the episode, the fact that they got that opportunity to have a talk the next day, and they both acknowledged their wrongs. I feel like Bria, I think that Bria could have given more. I guess throughout the episode, Bria was talking about she's a little aggressive. I wish that she could have taken more accountability both with Simon and Summer, to be honest. Like, when she had the conversation with Simon, she kind of jumped and was just like, we both were disrespectful last night. So how can we move forward? And I didn't agree with that. I don't think that Simon disrespected her at all. I think in this instance, Simon practiced what Silas should practice, and he was picking and choosing his battles. And he's just like, whatever. Me personally, if my name was Simon, I would have pushed back and been like, girl, I didn't disrespect you, and we probably would have been arguing for another day. But whatever. I wish in that moment Bria just would have said, I was a little bit too lit. I took it a little bit too far. I wish she teetered over there. And then I wish she would have said, I apologize for doing so. Period. Even her mama said, like, you don't have to embarrass him, girl. Like, you calling him out in front of everybody. It just felt like she was trying to chastise him at the end of the day. That's what she was doing. Like, she didn't like that he was having a good time and he was carrying on and doing his big one with these people that don't really care for her. And so she was trying to bring him down and bring him back over to her side and be like, no, just be over here, have fun with me. Don't be over there having, the time of your life with those people. That's what it felt like to me. And so it felt like she was trying to dim his light and chastise him because he was having a good time while everybody else was not, especially they weren't having a good time with her. So I wish that she would have put her pride aside and apologized for that, because she was obviously intoxicated in her feelings, and I think she projected that and made an issue with Simon where there was no issue, and that's why she feels like she was being disrespected, because Simon wasn't like following up and coddling behind her all night. He was having a good time. I wish that she had had the moment to like understand that and apologize to that man, but she didn't, and Simon didn't make a fuss about it. So whatever, like, whatever. They're choosing to move forward, so great. And then in that same token, I wish that she could have given more of an apology to Summer. Again, I think she took some accountability, right? Like, she's like, I don't know, I wish I just had heard the words like, girl, okay, I understand. You were trying to be helpful, blah, blah, blah. But still, don't, you didn't need to intervene. I got pieces of that. I guess it just wasn't, it was like an 8, but I wanted it to be a 10. Like, I'm picking, you know what I'm saying? I wish it just could have been more. But, I think that they had a really good conversation. I like how apologetic Summer was. I like, Summer just seems super self-aware. So I like the fact that she was able to say, like, dang, I intervened. But it's because I felt like I saw the resolve. And I can relate to that as well. Like, I think a lot of us can. Like, we see certain issues with people and we feel like we know what the fix is, so we want to jump in and be like, y'all, like, it's not that big. But sometimes it's just like, it's not your place at the end of the day, right? Again, I don't think it warranted the reaction Bria gave, but I like that Summer was self-aware enough to say, like, I didn't need to insert myself in that. That didn't have anything to do with me. And I also should not have put my hands on you. So I liked that a lot. Like, that was my favorite. I like conversations like that. So I appreciated that. I thought it was great. And then at the end, we get more Jasmine versus Silas. You know, I saw some tweets. I don't live for Silas, and I don't. The verdict is still out on Jasmine. It may always be out. It may just remain out. But I saw some tweets where it was just like, we don't want them back next season, and I just have to disagree with that. You need these. Like, what do y'all think TV is? Right? Like, we need these polarizing characters on television to start conversation and get us to saying, like, oh, they're the problem. No, they're the problem. No, this is my perspective on the situation. No, this is my perspective. Like, we need that. So I don't think I would change this cast at all. I think I may be contradicting myself a little bit. I don't necessarily think I would bring Shanice back. Not because she's annoying and not because of what she did, but just because I actually don't feel like she necessarily brought anything to the show for me. So I don't know that I need Shanice, but I don't, it wouldn't stop the world if she did come back. So I wouldn't necessarily change this cast at all. I did really enjoy the show. If you watched all of the reviews or even most of the reviews and you've seen the kind of like growth in the reviews of it, I think you can see, like, I've assessed a lot in the group. I think we got a lot of character arc. I think we got a ton of character development. I think we got to know them a lot. Like, I can honestly say I have distinct things that I can say about each and every one of them. So I like that. Even like Summer and Jason, them being there for such a short amount of time, like, we have noteworthy things to say about them. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. This is my first time watching any type of Summer House at all. So I didn't know what to expect, and I enjoyed it. And I will watch it again. I will say, it did get overwhelming and it was stressful, and it was just like, oh, I want these people off my TV today, because TV is supposed to invoke emotion, and that makes for a good show. I think a good reality show, and these polarizing characters and these conversation starters. But then it's just kind of like, woo, like, I'm trying to get up out of here. So that being said, that's why I'm happy the season is over. That's the only reason. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. I'm happy that they got the opportunity to do it, and I do believe that they'll be back for a season 2. So I'm happy for them. Happy for our young black people. And it's also exciting to like see them doing stuff and getting noticed now. Like even Preston did I think Bria did Watch What Happens Live as well, if I'm not mistaken. But even seeing Preston do Watch What Happens Live yesterday during Pride weekend, right? Like that's fun. I don't think it was because of Pride weekend, but it was ironic, and it was just fun. Like I'm happy to see them doing stuff and being a part of the Bravo system. So in the event that there's a season 2, which I'm sure there will be, we will be back. And I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed the show. The finale didn't finale me, but it was something. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. That's a wrap on our first show, and we got other reviews coming. So I will see y'all in the next one.